From the OUTV Broadcast Center in Los Angeles, California, this is Brief News Brief, a brief look at today's trending news topics, proudly combating the thought police since 2016. Here's your host, James Heaney.
I'm James Heaney, and this is Brief News Brief. And we're back, and it's good to be back. I've been lonely. Nobody's been paying attention. I was crossing my fingers that my microwave was surveilling me, but my words were falling on deaf ears. Okay? But now that I've got your attention, we're going to go forward. And we're going to start by talking about Russia. This week on Monday, FBI Director Jim Comey confirmed during a House committee hearing that the President of the United States is under an active FBI investigation. The hearing was, of course, during a probe into the Russian interference of the U.S. election and whether the President of the United States and his team colluded with Russia to interfere with the U.S. election. All right, Wednesday, Adam B. Schiff, the ranking Democrat on the House committee, confirmed for the first time that the committee, in fact, has more than just circumstantial evidence that Trump and the Trump transition team were, in fact, colluding with the Russian officials. Now, Devin Nunes, in an unprecedented move, took a trip to the White House yesterday and made quite a splash. Nunes, who is the Republican chair on the House Intelligence Committee investigating Russian ties to the election, chose to share intelligence reports with not the committee, but directly with President Trump. He then made two separate press appearances where he shared intelligence that Trump and his team were subject to incidental collection of communications, which were picked up and distributed throughout the intelligence community. He was unable to present any evidence of this, and he confirmed that it had nothing to do with Russia, that it was not President Obama that directed the collection of this information, and that it was not illegal, okay? So it really begs the question, why would a Republican in charge of a bipartisan investigation of the president be running off to the president to say, hey, Trump, you were being wiretapped? Well, this is no breaking news. Remember, everyone is being wiretapped. Remember the Patriot Act? If you don't, you must have been a little baby, because it passed shortly after September 11th. That allowed the U.S. government to basically do surveillance on pretty much anyone it felt like. I think the key line was, why do you care if you're being listened to if you're doing nothing wrong? Are you colluding with the Russian government in a desperate attempt to take down a flawed Democratic candidate, Hillary Clinton? If so, then yeah, I hope the frickin' government's listening to you anyways. The move Devin Nunes made yesterday of running off to Trump like a little lapdog has even Republicans questioning whether the House of Representatives can do its job and conduct a bipartisan investigation. A lot of people are pushing for a special or a select committee to take over the investigation since, again, we're talking about Russia attacking our country. Big hopes that we can all agree we don't want Russia attacking our country, right? That's the tiny thing we can all agree on. Get ready for a brief news briefing. Fast headlines coming your way. Today, GOP leaders are expected to vote on a health care law that is supposed to replace Obamacare. Republicans that are against the bill are calling it Obamacare Light. And Democrats, well, they don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. They want to fix the problems, there are problems, that Obamacare has, but not take health care away from over 20 million people, which is what they say this new bill will do. Yesterday, there was a terrorist attack in London. For the first time in over 100 years, the parliament was attacked. About 40 people from 11 different countries were injured. ISIS is claiming responsibility for the attack. Paul Manafort, Trump's former campaign manager that saw his team through the Republican convention last summer, is now being outed as being paid millions of dollars for a job that he took. All right, now this job's actual description, okay, and this is a quote, listen to the quote of what his job was that he got paid millions of dollars for. Influencing politics, business dealings, and news coverage inside the United States, Europe, and the former Soviet Republic to benefit the Putin government. Yes, it's not a joke. Literally, he is trying to change the media for Putin. That's who Trump had heading his campaign team for a while. Okay, Manafort denies that this work for the Deripaska was inappropriate and nefarious. He just says that you gotta find a way to put food on the table, and sometimes it's a job that pays you millions of dollars. Neil Gorsuch, President Trump's pick to serve on the U.S. Supreme Court, faced a critical blowjob today as Senate Minority Leader Charles E. Schumer said he would join other Democrats in attempting to filibuster the nomination. Democrats not only believe that this seat was stolen from Obama's pick, Merrick Garland, but they also don't want a president who's under an active FBI investigation to be putting lifelong members into the judicial system, a system full of people that President Trump would call so-called judges. The United States government hates Sesame Street, and it should be no surprise because years before President Trump became President Trump, he was portrayed on Sesame Street as Ronald Grump. Let's take a look.
What's this? Ronald Grump in secret meetings with Oscar the Grouch? Mr. Grump, Mr. Grump, Mr. Grump. A few questions, if you wouldn't mind, Mr. Grump.
Well, I always have time for a beautiful lady of the press. Okay, Grouch. No more Mr. Nice Guy developer. You move. I'm going to build a perfume factory right here. Lovely scents all day long. And I'm going to build a carousel. Squeals of children, Oscar. Happy children. Merry carousel organ music.
Hey, Scram! Mike hands on city property.
No one will move into Grump Tower with you here.
1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8,
Mr. Grump, we're not moving. You can bring in your bulldozers, bring in the wrecking balls. We love our street, and we're not moving.
It comes as no surprise that life imitates art and art imitates life, right? The Trump administration has unveiled its new federal government spending plans, and as part of the sweeping changes, all the funding for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting will be completely cut. The CPB has been responsible for many of the shows that you may remember from your youth, all right, such as Square One, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, Reading Rainbow, and of course, Sesame Street. Along with the CPB, many programs within the Environmental Protection Agency will be cut as well, including those involved in research in global warming and renewable energy resources, which just blows my effing mind. If we continue to say that there's just not enough research out there to prove or disprove global warming is caused by man, then why in the effing world would we cut all the spending from it? It just makes me so mad. It's so idiotic. Sorry, was that opinionated news? Anyway, there will be a 10% increase in the defense budget and a 6% increase in Homeland Security budget. And along with that, there's going to be a $1.5 billion allocated for figuring out how to build that damn wall. It's poll tally time. Should the White House be allowed to bar major news outlets from attending press meetings? No, they shouldn't. Unless it's a Russian meeting. If it's a Russian meeting, then the mangy press should stay out of it. All right? Should ICE agents be allowed to impersonate police officers? The answer is no. Not even with their fingers crossed. Okay? But yes, they can impersonate mall cops. I think that's fair, because mall cops don't have a lot of power anyways. And finally, have you ever attended a town hall meeting? You haven't. I haven't. We haven't. 82% of us have never done it. Now, I think it's our duty to at least try it once. Would you have ever known that you like chocolate if you never tried chocolate? Would you have known that you like green eggs and ham if you've never tried green eggs and ham? You wouldn't. It's your duty to try town hall meetings. You might find that you like going to all of them. Okay? Here's the new polls, and we're doing this slightly different now. We're not going to be having our polls every single episode because we think that that's not enough time for us to, we need to vote and make sure that we vote appropriately, and sometimes we feel too rushed to the polls. If we're voting every single day, it just becomes a nuisance in our life. So we figured maybe once a week would be better. First question: should Democrats filibuster Neil Gorsuch? Secondly, do you think that PBS deserves public funding? And are you concerned that the government is incidentally collecting your communications?